Hello and welcome to the all new, all different number one comics podcast. This is episode number 29. This is a weekly comic book review podcast where each and every single week we take a look at a brand new first issue comic book, break down the story and art, give it somewhat of a review, and tell you if we think that you should move on to issue number 2 or not. We also talk a little bit of comic book and related news, as well as what's new at comic book shops this week. Oh, and if I forgot to say at the head of that intro there, I'm Barbie Dan, and that's Bobenheimer. Say hello, Bobenheimer.
Hello, Bobenheimer.
And yeah, now I'm messed up because I don't even know what to say after that. Either way, this week we'll be taking a very, very deep dive into the all-new number 1.
From Boom Studios, Alice Never After. Written and drawn by Dan Panogin.
Yes, as well as art by Giorgio Spalletta.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
Did a good job.
Hey, well, you know, I try. If nothing else, I'm going to try hard. So there's at least that. Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. And we are back with episode number 29 of the all-new, all-different number one comics podcast. Bob, there was a whole bunch of San Diego Comic-Con news that has come out since we have last podcasted.
I'm glad James Gunn didn't steal it all.
I mean, it hardly has anything to do with James Gunn, so thank God for that.
So is it worthy? Is the news actually worthy?
I think so, but this San Diego Comic-Con was very different. Of course, we are in the midst of a gigantic writer's strike,
right,
and pretty much actor strike and all of that stuff right now.
So there were people and companies canceling left and right.
Of course, and it kind of went back to its roots. Of course, there's still trailer reveals, there's still announcements and all of that stuff, but there was a lot of comic book news out of San Diego Comic-Con this year, which
that is crazy.
Yeah,
a Comic-Con.
Yeah,
they're just mostly comics. Wow.
But I mean, up until this point, it's just been pretty much movie and TV news. That's all you ever get. Video game news, whatever. Now, of course, like I said, there is a good amount of that, but in my humble opinion here, I think that the comic book news kind of outshines all of that. So,
well, it should, because it's San Diego Comic-Con.
Well, look, the difference between it should and it does are two very different things.
It started as exclusively comics, yep, but we see what it is now.
Yeah, it's all Hall H and whatever else. So yeah. I'm just going to kind of list some of them off. If you have anything to say, we can talk about them. If not, whatever. But we got the trailer for Legend of the White Dragon. Legend of the White Dragon. And that is the, what's the guy's name? Now I can't think of his name. The White Ranger, Jason
David Frank.
Jason David Frank. Okay, there we go. Yes. It's the last film or anything that he made before his death, of course. And they were trying to get this kickstarted for a while, and it's been funded and everything. There's a trailer out for it. It looks interesting. I don't know if you've watched that trailer, but
it's been a few days, but I don't think I watched the whole thing, but I remember seeing images about it, and I think I watched a very small clip of it.
Yeah, interesting, and I'll leave it at that. We, of course, got the Marvels trailer. I think we have talked about that since our last episode. I think it looks wonderful. I'm very stoked about that. We got Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, a trailer for that. Spin-off television show, or I don't know if you call it a television show anymore, but yeah, sure.
Now, is that going to be based on a character?
That one is, because there's 2, so I'm trying to remember exactly the difference between the 2. No, I don't know. I don't know that one's based on a character or not. The other one is like a spinoff of a single character, but the other one being Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw the trailer for that one. That's a very, very interesting trailer. He shows up in France. And
how does he get to France?
I don't know. I don't follow Walking Dead, so I haven't watched all of Walking Dead. I gave up after the first season, but I think he washes up on shore in France.
So there's not zombie sharks or...
I don't think
fish.
so. I don't think we encounter any zombie sharks, but there are definitely a good amount of zombies in the trailer. It's a pretty interesting trailer. I give it that. Walking Dead a little too slow for me, but I don't know. This looks interesting.
I think I gave it about maybe 6 or 7 seasons before I just tapped out.
Yeah, I definitely didn't make it that far, so I'm glad you did. But we got a trailer for Invincible Season 2, if you are into Invincible. I don't know if you are, Bob. I'm not. It looks like Invincible.
I tried to watch it, and I mean, it just for some reason it didn't pique my interest.
Yeah, likewise. It didn't really click with me at all. Godspeed to whoever it does. We got Perpetrator, which look, I watched those. I watched all of these last night. I don't remember anything about that one. I'm not sure what that was. It was something. We got season 2 for Interview with the Vampire. Again, I tried to watch season 1.
I didn't watch season 1.
Yeah, man. I think I watched, what was it? 3 episodes. Didn't really get into that too much either.
Is it like a Victorian Twilight?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Then I won't watch it.
So you're not into that.
No.
Okay. Well, fair enough, I guess.
No.
We also got an Invincible special, Adam Eve special, which is the female in Invincible there.
I'll take your word on it.
Yeah, sure. Looks a little different. It's like it's kind of like a prequel, I believe, to that character's story in Invincible, and the animation's a little bit different. It looks like a different kind of thing there. We got footage from the Spider-Man 2 game. That looks amazing. I know you've seen that. Kraven with Venom, of course, with Tony Todd voicing Venom. Man, that's like Tony Todd needs to just always voice Venom because holy crap.
That is like the perfect voice cast.
Yeah.
Tony Todd has one of those voices.
Yeah.
That, I mean, just scares the hell out of people.
Yeah. He's great.
You wouldn't want to hear that voice in a dark alley.
No, God, yeah. Tony Todd's got a great voice. This game looks really, really cool. I'm not a gamer myself, but man, I want to buy a PS5 just to play this. It looks insane.
I highly enjoyed and I highly recommend the first game.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard really great things about it. And I've watched some gameplay just because it's a cool story. So of the first one, we got Mortal Kombat 1. Trailer for that, teaser for that.
That I did not see.
Yeah, or maybe it was just announced. I don't know. I don't recall. I don't recall what happened in that. So
that is going to be weird with Carl Urban as Johnny Cage.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Maybe it was just I don't know. Maybe something about it was announced. Maybe it wasn't a trailer. I don't have the details on that one in front of me. I just made like a little note of it.
Right.
We did get Rick and Morty and here I'm too far removed from Rick and Morty also to really speak much on this, but from what I saw, it's Rick and Morty the anime. I don't know if that's just their trailer for the 7th season or if it's actual anime, but it was very interesting. I watched the whole thing. It was a long trailer. It was pretty. It was the longest trailer I watched.
See, I did hear something about Rick and Morty for this upcoming season because we all know the Justin Roiland situation.
Yeah, we do.
How he got fired.
Yep.
Basically, it almost sounds like they're going to use voice AI.
Okay. Well,
or I guess they were talking about like voice alikes or something like that. Whatever that is.
Yeah. Hey, whatever they do, fine by me. I don't know. It's Rick and Morty. I'm not. I can't lie. I hate to say it. It's not my kind of thing. But whatever. There was a trailer, and Bob, we know how well I pronounce things. This is an Indian movie. This comes out of Bollywood. It's Kalki. however you pronounce that. Kalki. Give it a shot, Bob.
I'm gonna say Kalki.
Kalki. Okay, well, I'll go with that because it sounds better than what I
probably
said.
butchered it, but that's what it looks like.
Well, it's Kalki 2898 AD is the name of the movie, and it is the biggest budget ever spent on an Indian film. They're saying that this is like huge for them. This is a very, very big movie. It looks intense. What I saw of it looks great. Looks really cool. It's like a post-apocalyptic thing. No, I didn't see any of that like typical stuff. It looks very, very interesting. I definitely suggest anybody go check that trailer out because that was cool. That was very different. Something very different there. Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. We got Harley Quinn season 4, of course.
Yes, and I'm disappointed because it sounded like the first few episodes are already dropped on Max. And
Really?
How did I miss that?
I don't know, Bob, but you did somehow.
Yeah, the trailer definitely looks like they're going in, an interesting direction for it. So, it's going to be kind of cool to see the dynamic, between, the relationship between Ivy and Harley this season.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched much other than a couple of episodes here and there, and then that Valentine's special. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun though. But we got an announcement for an Adventure Time sequel series, Adventure Time Fiona and Cake Season 1. I have to say, I'm pretty stoked about this. I really liked Adventure Time. It was a lot of fun.
I never watched.
You never watched Adventure Time?
Never
Bob,
watched Adventure
it
Time.
probably won't surprise you too much given all the tattoos I have here, but I have an Adventure Time tattoo right there. So
that is the only thing I know that John DiMaggio did voice one of the main characters in
Jake,
that series.
the dog. Yeah, I'm stoked about this one. This is going to be really cool. This is the female version of the characters, and it's going to be cool. I'm excited about that. There's another one I'm not even going to attempt. I don't have anything to say about it, and there's no way I could pronounce it, so I'm just going to scrap that one for now. Twisted Metal. We got some more information on Twisted Metal, and that drops today.
I'm really looking forward to this one.
I am too, and I don't. Again, I'm not a gamer myself, so I don't have much weight in it. But
I loved the original PlayStation and the PS2 games.
We've got Falcon in there, so that's cool. And then I listened to a podcast called Doughboys. It's a chain restaurant podcast. It's very, very funny. It's by these two sketch comedian kind of guys, and they host the show. And for their most recent episode, they had one of the co-hosts is on the show. I don't know the character that he plays, but he plays someone on the show. And their guest was the other guy from, the other guy that's not the Falcon, the guy with like the clown costume or whatever. So
the not Will Arnett, because Will Arnett does the voice of Sweet Tooth.
I don't know. He's the guy that plays him. So
the guy behind the mask is actually a professional wrestler. He wrestled for Tony Khan's AEW. Guy by the name of Samoa Joe. And
yep, that's him. Yeah, I recall the name.
Oh man. He looks so good as Sweet Tooth.
Yeah, that looks really cool. I'm actually excited to watch it now because, just because I've been following that podcast for a long time. I'm excited to see the other guy there in it. So that'll be cool. But we also got Young Love. Don't know much about that. I think one of the big things was there's a One Piece trailer. I don't know if you watched that. Again, I hate to keep cutting myself out of things and saying I'm not a big this guy, but I'm not a big anime or manga guy.
I'm not either. I mean, I got a couple of good friends who are probably really looking forward to that because they're in the whole Japanese anime manga.
Well, I am hearing just such good things about One Piece that it's one of the greatest stories out there. That it's just wonderful, and they're really excited about this adaptation of it. And the trailer looks cool. It looks fun. it looks cool. It's got a cool concept. From what I gather, I didn't read a synopsis of it or anything, but I do understand that it's, basically like people hunting for a treasure. So like kind of globe trotting for treasure.
Just as long as it's not like the Last Airbender movie, because
it doesn't look that
everybody was saying the Last Airbender was one of the greatest animes, and then the movie came out and it was like, what is this piece of shit?
No, I don't think that anybody's going to make that mistake with this, and I think it's looking good too. The trailer does look really good. It's not, it definitely doesn't look bad at all. So I don't know. I'm thinking that this one's probably going to be good. That's all I can say. I think it'll be good. We also got a trailer for Bad Omens season number 2. Don't know if you followed number 1. I just recently started watching it. It's good. It's a Neil Gaiman book, I think. Neil Gaiman has something to do with it. I think it's a book by him. I don't know. I could be completely wrong about that. Again, no notes in front of me whatsoever other than these bullet points here, but that's what I'm going off of. DC also announced a couple of animated adaptations.
I believe one of them, and before you say what they are,
yep, okay.
I think one of them was a Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sorry, but now it's getting to the point where it's like that story is being done to death.
Yeah. Yeah, it has.
So, and what was it? What was the other one?
Watchmen. So, speaking of done to death, didn't we have a Watchmen movie and then a television show, and now we're getting an animated series? So, I don't know what else is left to like really tell that same story over and over again. But
I don't know. And I mean, is it going to be the movie but in animated form?
That's what I'm gathering.
Or is it going to be the comic book just in animation form? Which
Good
is kind
question.
of redundant because
Yeah.
It's a comic which is which is animated.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're going for here, and again, I'm not the biggest DC guy, so whatever. This is fine, whatever.
Batman's going to show up.
Well, of course, Batman would be in both of those things. So absolutely. Let's talk about some comics then. Let's talk about some comic book announcements. Superior Spider-Man returning. They said.
So is it going to be Ock?
There's nothing being said about what's going on here. It's going to be a mystery to everybody. But they did say that there will be no clones, no retcons.
Thank goodness there weren't any clones.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of people's response to that. Right. Now, here's something really interesting. We have a new Punisher coming, and it's not Frank Castle. It's somebody that we have never met before, and there's like no gimmick. It's like this dude is now the Punisher. Yeah,
which I heard about that, and I can't remember the guy's name myself.
Yeah,
his name escapes me, but I'm just like, why? I mean, why after all these years? And I mean, I could see maybe if you had done it, 10 years ago, and that version of the Punisher was already established.
Yep.
But it's kind of like, why change it all of a sudden? Why introduce a new one all of a sudden?
I think Marvel, for a while now, has been having a lot of trouble with Punisher. It was a top tier character.
I was hoping we were over all that stuff.
Well, not only that, there's, obviously they had to try to change the logo for a while because a lot of people were using it for non-Punisher things, and it hasn't stuck. So I don't know, maybe they're trying to distance themselves from that regular Frank Castle Punisher and the skull logo and everything. I'm not sure. I don't know what the intent is, but I do know that this is something new that's going to happen.
So is Frank Castle just going to retire, or is he still going to be...
Good question. I mean, maybe he... I don't know, man. Maybe he becomes an Avenger and... Maybe he dies and then is resurrected. Okay, maybe what they'll do is kill off Frank Castle,
We're not going to
have the next Hellfire Gala, resurrect him.
We're not going to get another Frankencastle, are we?
I hope so.
He's not going to turn out to be a mutant, is he?
Well, speaking of another Frankencastle, we are getting a new Capwolf. That's coming back. So
yeah, I did hear about that.
So maybe we're getting a whole horror-themed Marvel thing going on. Maybe we'll have Frankencastle, Capwolf. Maybe we'll bring back a Man-Thing. Do like a Crypt of Shadows is also coming back.
Marvel's Creature Commandos?
Yeah, hey, why not? I could definitely get behind that. So who knows what their intent is, but that is happening.
Hey, anything with Man-Thing you could definitely get behind.
Yes, please. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Last Ronin is getting a sequel. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin 2, I guess. I mean, we already had the Lost whatever. We've had director's cuts. We've had a lot of things with The Last Ronin, so now we're getting a sequel to it.
I know our listeners can, but can you see the shock on my face?
Yeah, man, absolutely. This is breaking news for Bob. Bob went blank. I don't know what to say here. Sorry, Bob. Let's talk about some Rob Liefeld announcements coming out.
Okay.
Rob Liefeld. Of course, he never went anywhere. He's still working for Marvel and everything. But Major X is getting a sequel series as well. So the Rob Liefeld character Major X is getting a sequel, and Rob Liefeld's working on that, as well as Cable with the original 5 X-Men in their original costumes, but with Cable.
Interesting.
I believe it's called X-Men Blue Origins, something to that effect. I don't know, man. I'm kind of stoked about that one. I know X-Men timelines all over the place, whatever, but that could be really, really cool. Excited about that. Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
I saw that, and I'm like, this is the weirdest crossover, but yeah. I must read this book.
Oh, yeah. Very, very cool. Now, Bob, you can either opt for, whatever it is, $5.99, $6.99 cover price, get a variant maybe, whatever, or as a very special limited time offer, I don't know if it's a limited time offer or not, but there's going to be $15 variant covers that come with a sound chip. Yeah, that's right. I'm assuming it's so you can hear, I don't know, like Godzilla scream or something. Who knows? But yeah, it's going to have little sound chip covers. So for $15.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But, unfortunately, do you remember that thing with Samsung batteries a few years back?
Oh, yeah.
Could you just see a kid reading one of those books?
Oh, man.
Or somebody our age, and just all of a sudden the cover burst into flames.
See, what I'm more scared of here is probably not that happening like right away, but some idiot like me who has hundreds of thousands of comics sitting in storage, and I've got one just sitting in my storage unit, and then all of a sudden one day, like 15 years later, it just decides to blow up, and then I'm like, well, there goes my entire collection.
No, instead of Godzilla roaring, it's gonna be I'm Batman.
Yeah, it might be. You got the Justice League in there, so why not? We also got the announcement that Ram V is exclusive with DC, so he's going steady with DC, so good for him, I guess. We may have talked about that before because I remember talking about Venom being relaunched, so no big surprise there. Joe Casey back over at DC, so that's been a while for Joe Casey doing any DC work. Greg Capullo back over at Marvel.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things that anybody thinks is, great. Now we get some great Wolverine, Greg Capullo. So very cool. We have an announcement of Daredevil Black Armor. That's going to be a new book. So that 90s Daredevil Black Armor is going to be back to black suit and everything. I think maybe a mini-series with that, something to do with that. Peach Momoko's Demon Saga is getting a black and white edition. So I can just imagine how great that's going to look. Just in, black and white.
Yeah.
Peach Momoko's watercolor and everything in that Demon Saga is going to be really cool, I think. We're also getting a Howard the Duck one-shot by Chip Zdarsky. So Very, very cool. Yeah. And those are my highlights. Of course, there's more news out there. You can Google San Diego Comic-Con news or whatever.
Right.
But
I did want to pose a question to you.
Sure.
So now that it's ended, have you watched Secret Invasion?
No.
So you have not watched any of it?
I've not gone back. I've seen the first episode, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there goes my question.
Yeah. I do see some news out there. Some people are saying it was a little underwhelming. Some people or sites are saying that it's the worst reviewed Marvel project. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the ending did kind of remind me of like the what was it? The crossover event A versus X, where it started off strong,
yeah,
but then it kind of ended kind of weak. I mean, I could definitely see how it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, sure.
Because, I mean, you don't have, like, superheroes left and right and all that. And, I mean, to be honest, to me, it really doesn't have that much to do with the wider Marvel universe. Mm-hmm. So, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll definitely get into it. I'm definitely going to be watching it. I'm excited to watch it. But, yeah, that I'll have to go back and watch that one. I don't know, Bob, that's it for the news. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. And we are back with episode number 29 of the All New, All Different #1 Comics podcast. Bob, we're going to hit episode number 30 next week, and that's just insane to me. I can't believe, I feel like I say this every time we hit like kind of a milestone, but, it's been over half a year now. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm pretty proud of this podcast so far. I feel like we've done some really cool things.
I am too, especially because it was just thrown together willy-nilly.
Exactly. We just kind of threw this thing together and we're like, let's see what we can do, see what happens,
right.
See how it is to just sit around and talk about comics for a little bit. So right. I don't know. This is very cool. I don't plan on going anywhere. I'm really happy with this, but just, thought I'd point that out there for a second. Almost 30 episodes, and this is a lot of fun. So let's get into our synopsis of Boom Studios' all-new #1, Alice Never After #1. And let me start with a disclaimer here. This book is #1. It's a sequel series. So we had Alice Ever After. This is Alice Never After. Kind of an oversight. I don't know exactly what happened. I do know we had a different book picked out, but it was delayed locally for us, so we weren't able to cover it. So we had to scramble at the last second to get something that we knew was going to be out, and this is what we landed on. So it is a #1, and we are going to be treating it as a #1, as we're going to be completely negating that first series, Alice Ever After. And I will say, you can just hop into this book without reading that series. It doesn't matter. You get enough backstory to start, and most people are pretty familiar with the Alice in Wonderland story anyways, and it obviously riffs off of that. So I think that you're safe, but that is my disclaimer here. It's not our traditional #1. So it's more of a volume 2 #1, but I do feel like that's okay. So that's the disclaimer. Here's the synopsis from Boom's website. Alice finally got her wish. Wonderland has become her new home, but with her new abuser's avatar with the uncanny grin, turning the mad residents of a moonstruck world against her, she's clawing for a little rationality amongst the chaos. As Alice's sister Edith and her childhood friend Earl fight for a way to bring her back, Alice has to contend with whether or not her torment is due to her father, herself, or maybe a curious combination of both. So, that is the synopsis from Boom's website.
That is the book we read.
Yes, definitely the book we read. Let's talk about these creators for a second. Dan Panosian, of course, done some really, really big things. He's done a lot of things. He was an inker over at Marvel for Uncanny X-Men, as well as X-Men, the #1 selling series of all time. He's also worked on Captain America, Green Lantern Mosaic, Spelljammers, Wonder Man, Ghosted, Detective Comics, Angel, Batwoman, Daredevil, X-Force, James Bond Origin, Slots, Angel and Spike, Harley Quinn, An Unkindness of Ravens, Lord of the Jungle, and just a whole lot of other things. Done some work over at Ultimate Spider-Man as well, which is really cool. I don't remember what he did for that. Maybe it was just a variant cover or something. Oh no, he inked on issue #4 of Ultimate Spider-Man. So very cool. But yeah, done a lot of inking work, and then also, as I said, he's writing here. If you guys remember the Skybound book from a few years back, Slots, he was the writer on that. Also did some of the artwork on the series. But yeah, I guess once you're Dan Panosian, you can't only write. You also got to do some of the art because he's a really wonderful artist. But let's talk about...
I mean, that's a good thing to be able to do both.
Yeah, and he's kind of doing, I think, some of the work here, or at least in the first series, the first volume, Alice Ever After, he was doing like the stuff that happened in the real world, and then Giorgio Spalletta was doing the illustration for the Wonderland stuff. So I don't know if that's happening here. Yes, it is. Okay, yeah. Yes, yeah. So same kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Giorgio Spalletta then for a minute. Giorgio Spalletta, also a big illustrator, has done stuff for Dynamite, Boom, all kind of stuff all over the place, IDW. Worked on 007 for King and Country, Bountiful Garden for Mad Cave, Star Trek The Q Conflict for IDW, Grim Tales from the Cave over at Mad Cave Studios, Magic the Gathering, Red Sonja, Black, White, and Red, Red Sonja, Hell Sonja. Rocket Man and Rocket Girl, which also came out this year from Dynamite Comics, if you guys remember that book. I did skip that one, but it had some nice artwork on it. So there's our creators, and then I'm going to get over to my synopsis of the book. Might be a little more long-winded than theirs. Alice Never After opens with Alice throwing up while her sister Edith stands by her side. We learn that Mistress Hulda and Dr. Madsen did something horrible to Alice, and that her mental health is now suffering from it. As Edith and her fiancé talk about finding a doctor to help Alice. Now, again, that might have been an oversight now that I'm reading that. Maybe that's not Edith's fiancé. Maybe that is just Alice's childhood friend. Earl, I'm not too sure because I don't remember seeing his name anywhere. We then flash over to Wonderland as Alice holds a very important tea party. While White Rabbit is in a hurry, Alice wonders why he's always in a hurry. So she leaves the meeting and follows him. Alice runs into the caterpillar, and we then again flash to the real world as Edith runs into her father, and she then asks the driver to take her to Newgate Prison. We learn that her father is going to Wormwood Scrubs, whatever that is. Edith shows up at the prison and visits Dr. Madsen while her father arrives to meet Mistress Hilda, I'm not sure how to say that name. Back to Wonderland, Alice asks the caterpillar for help finding the White Rabbit, to no avail. Alice becomes lost as the dodo finds her and helps her find her way back to the castle. He tells her a shadowy figure has been lurking around and assumed to be the Cheshire Cat. Alice arrives back to the castle and everyone has brought her a present, but she becomes too sick to open it, so they bring her something to eat and it turns her into a baby. They make her a remedy, and with her stomach no longer hurting, she opens the gift, which turns out to be the Queen of Hearts dress, and they tell her that she is now the Queen of Hearts. And that issue ends. Man, this one's a little crazy. I guess that's what we expect from Alice in Wonderland. But
exactly.
Yeah, this is a nuts story.
Exactly. I wasn't expecting like a free-flowing narrative.
Yeah, sure.
From Alice in Wonderland material.
Yeah, definitely. This one does have like a good amount of like mystery to it, though. I will give it that. it still kind of takes a concept that we know, and probably I know best from, the Disney movie, but I don't know if you read Alice in Wonderland as a kid or anything. I've never really read the works.
I know the majority of it, again, from the animated movie.
Yeah, likewise. So I think that this puts like a fresh spin on it. It's definitely something different. We obviously know that something sinister is going on in the real world here, and we just don't know exactly what yet. But let's talk about the beats then. The beats of this story were flashing from Alice and her family and friends and stuff there in the real world, to her being kind of comatose, and then what's going on in Neverland, and then back and forth. So I don't know. How did you feel the story beats worked here?
I think I really think for especially when you're interweaving flashbacks, I think it kind of hurts the story beats because it's not a free flowing story beat. It's like you got A, B, then you have a pause, and then it might go to D, and then it might go to F. So again, for just flashbacks, and when you're interweaving the flashbacks in general, I think it just hurts story beats. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, as far as story beats are concerned.
Yeah, I think this one's interesting, and it's obviously a unique formula we've got to talk about here. But I think that in my brain, I'm trying to equate it to something like the Neverending Story, where the stuff that's happening, in the story that we're focusing on is affected by the stuff that's happening in the real world or whatever. So I'm looking at it as kind of like that kind of thing. And that really works for me. I love the Neverending Story. I'm looking at my little Neverending Story poster right there on the wall. So obviously I really love the Neverending Story.
That's why you thought of the Neverending Story.
Yeah, I always try to think of the Neverending Story anytime that I can. But I like the way that this is working. I like the way that it's flashing back and forth and kind of interweaving through. I think that if we just took the story of Alice in Wonderland and had exactly what was happening there, I think that I would be a little bit bored with it, to tell you the truth. I think that it needs some of that real world grittiness to it, and I kind of like it. I obviously think Dan Panosian can really tell a story here. He's kind of like masterfully crafted this, in my opinion. Let's talk about the narrative then. How does the narrative of this book work for you? The voices here of these characters in this narrative. I'm gonna say that the overarching narrative it's not confusing. There's a mystery to unravel, so I see that, obviously. I like the narrative. I like what's going on. I think that if anything, this only suffers from me not remembering much about the first series, and then you not reading that first series and us forgetting that this was like, kind of a volume 2. So that's the only thing that I can really say about it. I don't know if you have some different points to throw in there, or...
Well, see, and as far as the narrative goes, I'm gonna put Wonderland as a separate thing, because I'm gonna put that, like a Matrix kind of thing, where that's happening in her mind, basically. So to me, the narrative in the real world about what they did, and how she's mentally unstable, that narrative really works for me.
Yep. Yeah, I love that part of the story too. I think that that's more interesting to me than what's going on in Wonderland. Wait. Wait, have I been saying Neverland this whole time? Am I doing a Peter Pan crossover?
I don't know. I thought you were maybe saying it that one time.
Well, I don't know. Hey. No. Yeah, I've stumped myself there. Either way, and whichever land
Alice in Neverland.
I mean, that's a crossover there. Maybe somebody should do that. Dan Panosian.
I mean, they're both Disney properties.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that it works really, really well. I think that it's really cool. I think that, more than the mystery of what's going on in Wonderland, with the Cheshire Cat being the shadowy figure and what the White Rabbit's doing and now, Alice becoming kind of the new Queen of Hearts. I want to know more about what's going on with Alice's father. Why is he going to visit this mistress? Why does he have like this weird secret going on and stuff that he's not telling his daughter Edith about?
I want to know why he's giving the evil grin.
Yeah, exactly. Like what really is going on here? So I think that's really interesting. Again, Dan Panosian really, really knows how to tell a story. You can tell that he's really good at it. I wonder if he's dabbled in novel writing or anything, because he just knows how to hit right and take these twists and turns and make it interesting enough without revealing too much. Really good writer here. So how about the dialogue then? How about the dialogue that's in this book? Again, I'm going to head with, I think that it has a perfect amount of dialogue. There's not too much in here to turn me off. I didn't open the pages and go, shit, this is a big commitment to sit here and read. Like some other books I did this week. Now, I've read a lot of books this week already. I cracked open my, I had to read that Hellfire Gala special. And while it's great, there's so much dialogue and it's such a dense book. Same thing with Ultimate Invasion 2. I think that was the first book I cracked open this week after reading that first issue. And I just wanted to know what was going to happen. And the amount of dialogue in that thing is insane. Now, this has the perfect amount. It's really letting the art tell the story, but we know that we need some exposition here, so it's sprinkled throughout, but it's not heavy at all.
Yeah, it's definitely not exposition heavy, which it doesn't, because like you said, we've cracked open a lot of books and it's like, oh my god,
yeah, this is a commitment.
Chore to read.
I'm really digging the dialogue here. I think that it works very, very well, and I think that Dan Panosian really is able to find all of these characters' voices. And we know he sat with them a little bit. Like I said, he had a first series of this, Alice Ever After, so he knows the characters well. He should know their voices pretty well. But again, I have nothing to say except for Dan seems to be a very, very good writer here. Very, very good. And to think that he started in the industry as an inker and went with that for a long time as an illustrator and everything, what was just sitting in his back pocket the whole time is how he can masterfully tell a story here. Yeah. So really, really cool. What about the world building, Bob? I want to let you lead with the world building. How do you feel like this world is built, fleshed out, all of that?
See, and going forward from the world building to the art, I mean, it's going to be have to divide it in two different pieces.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have the real world of London, which I mean, it's beautifully done, Victorian London. I mean, you have the style of houses, and then you have the prison and all that, but. Then you have what I'm assuming is going on in Alice's head, which is Wonderland. Yep. And they fleshed that out well. I mean, they showed the caterpillar and his mushroom, and the Mad Hatter's tea spread and all that kind of stuff. So I think the world building really works.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. This world is expanded beyond what me and Bob could sit here and describe to you. There's a lot of world building here in this book, and even, I mean, this gets more into the art, but you're open to the first page right now, and even on that first page, there's no backgrounds. We have 8 panels and then a big spread in the middle, and it's beautiful and it looks wonderful, but I know where we are. I know what time we're in. All of that, just based on the artwork alone. The world building just really, really works. Whenever we get into Wonderland, it's insane. It looks insane, but it fits. It's not jarring at all. It fits very well with what's going on in the book. But you can tell you're somewhere, make-believe or whatever. You can tell you're somewhere fantastical versus where you are, in London or whatever.
Right.
I'm just going to, again, I'm going to echo what I said before. There's not enough good things that I could say about Dan Panosian here. He really, really knows how to tell the story through his dialogue, through his storytelling, through his art, everything that he's done here. Really, really wonderful. And not to discredit Giorgio Spalletta either. He is a wonderful addition to this. Let's get into the art then. Let's talk about the art separately here. How do you feel the characters look? And again, this is weird for us. We're kind of grading Dan Panosian in the real world, and then Giorgio in the Wonderland stuff. So I don't know. Do it however you want. But how do you feel the character art?
Yeah, I have to say the art in both styles really works well. I mean, you have the dichotomy of Victorian London with not the washed out colors, but just a flatter, kind of orangey, earthy tones, and then you have the vibrant, almost animated, to use that term, style colors, in Wonderland. So I definitely think both worlds work as far as the art. I think the art is what shines the most in this.
Yeah, this is so hard for me because I'm singing so much praise to Dan Panosian for his storytelling, and to understate the art here would be like, insane. This art is phenomenal, and by both artists. Like I'm talking, and like in all honesty, and of course we'll get into the colors too, but on a separate thing, but every piece of this works so well together. The storytelling, the art, the two different styles of art, and then the color, like everything just works in harmony so wonderfully here. But yes, these characters look amazing. They look amazing. Whenever I look at Alice in the real world, illustrated by Dan, and then I look at her here, illustrated by Giorgio.
You can tell it's the same person.
Yeah, but she's somewhere else. Yeah, and I don't know, man. I think, right now, I would honestly say, and good thing we're going to have the perspective whenever we do like our end of the year wrap up and pick like our favorite things and all that, kind of have like an award show or whatever, because if we were to do that right now, this would honestly be number one. This is so good to me. Like every aspect of this is done so well, and I'm so surprised because I didn't come into this one expecting much. But yeah, the character art here just is phenomenal. Just really, really good stuff. How about the locations, Bob? We're in Victoria and England. We're in Wonderland. How do you feel these locations work?
I'm gonna tie that back to the world building. I just think it does such a good job building both worlds and all the locations. I mean, again, you have it's Victorian London.
Yes.
You're at a prison. You're in Wonderland. You're eating at the Mad Hatter's tea spread.
Yes. Yeah, all of it works. I think whenever we get into locations on this one, like you said, we know we're in London. We know where we are. We know it's Victorian times, whatever. But I want to say that Giorgio Spalletta, yeah. Okay. I keep wanting to say Spalletti for some reason, maybe because I'm hungry. But yeah, I'm going to say there, his location, his Wonderland just blows me away. It looks really, really good. Like really good. Like I can't overstate enough how wonderful it looks. Yeah, nothing but good stuff here. How about the backgrounds, Bob? We have a lot of, I'm going to throw this out and you challenge me on it. Say whatever you need to say. But we have a lot of what you and I have described before as something we're not huge on, which is just these blank backgrounds, which have nothing but maybe a little bit of color.
Right.
But for some reason, they work so well here. For me.
They do, and I mean, we do have that, but I mean, it's not that we get an overabundance of that.
Yeah.
And there's still enough going on. There's still enough detail on the characters in the panel.
Yes.
Not to have your eye drawn away just to the blank background. So, I think I definitely think in this instance, sometimes, especially with everything going on, I mean, Wonderland,
Yep.
I mean, you have all that detail.
Yes.
And I mean, even in the Victorian, even in the London scenes, you have all that detail.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometimes less is more.
Yeah, this is, I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say. It's fantastic. This looks really, really well. The times that we're seeing those locations and those kind of just solid color backgrounds, or even the first page, I really love that first page a lot. And it's got those 8 panels, and there's not any detail behind any character in a single one of them. It looks wonderful. Like, it looks so good. It just really, really shines. The art's able to shine. Last thing, the colors. Maybe we can really quick just make sure we credit that colorist.
Francesco Segala.
Okay, so yeah, how about the colors here? I already set it up top. I think they pop really well.
Yeah, so do I, and I've said it before too. The colors definitely work. You go by the more muted, earthy colors for London, and then you got the more vibrant colors for Wonderland.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me that this colorist was able to work with the 2 different artists here in this book, tie it all in together, make everything different in its own unique way, make Alice look different that she does in real life versus what she's doing in Wonderland there. But those colors are still, it's like the same palette or something. I mean, I'm looking right now at Alice here in real life, where she's kind of just, dazed, spaced out, whatever. I'm looking at her hair, and it's just a nice shade of blonde. And then we're looking at her here in Wonderland, and I know it's the same character, but she's got these golden locks, and it's a little different, but it just works well together. And I feel like, as different as it is, I can tell it's the same colorist. Like, I don't know, the colors really, really work here really well. But again, it's the whole team that's working for me. This whole team works so well together. I want to see all 3 of them go off and just continue to do like different comics together, because God, they work so well together. Something about this just really, really works for me. And I'm not able to pinpoint what it is, because I think it's everything. But yeah, the colors are really fantastic. All right, so then, the most important question of this episode: how do you feel about continuing on to issue number 2? Is this something that you want to follow through? Is it something that, this first issue was good enough for you, but it's not quite your thing? You're not going to move on to issue number 2. Where do you stand, Bob?
I mean, as much praise as I heaped upon this, I just don't think I'm going to continue to issue 2. I mean, especially coming off the fact that I didn't read the prequel series or volume 1.
Yep.
I mean, it was just a little, I guess you could say, a little too confusing to me. So
sure.
I don't think I will. I mean, it might be something, I pick up later on down the line, but as far as, right now, I'm going to take a pass on it.
Okay. Yeah, and completely understandable, because, again, to say that, you pick up something just because it's good and continue reading it just because it's good, or just because it has some phenomenal elements to it, which we're both, saying that it does, you still have to be hooked. It still has to hook you.
Right.
They're still, Boom Studios is still asking us to pay, whatever it says, $3.99, $4.99, for this. And I mean, hey, it's 2023. I don't know. Budgets are tight right now. We're throwing in another $5 comic to the mix. You have to really be hooked to be able to do something like that. Well, so I understand.
And I gotta say, it's more of just, and you hit the nail on the head. It just didn't totally hook me.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And look, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, I will say, spoiler, we're going to have 2 different perspectives here, because while this isn't my kind of thing, I'm not very interested in Alice in Wonderland. I don't really care too much for that story. It's fine. It's just a little, even the Disney stuff is just, it's not something I ever want to go back and watch. It's whatever. I think they've made some live action movies, if I'm not wrong, with Johnny Depp or something.
Forget about those.
Yeah, just not something I'm really interested in. A lot of people are. There's a lot fandom for Alice in Wonderland, but I'm just not one of those people. But I will say, this well-oiled machine of this creative team, I just want to continue to see what they're doing. So I will be picking this up. I will continue on to issue number 2. I absolutely loved this, and I'm actually going to go back and read that first volume to get caught up now. And that, again, is coming from somebody who is the least bit interested in Alice in Wonderland. I really don't care for the story. It's just not my thing. But, man, this is done really, really well. And I can't say enough good stuff about this creative team. They really blew me away. And yeah, that's a big yes for me. I will be adding this to my pull list and following it through, which I assume is only about 5 or 6 issues. So yeah, I'm excited to see what becomes of this. But yeah, there you go. You got those 2 perspectives. We both really liked the book, but Bob will not be continuing and I will. So if that helps you at all, decide if you should continue or if it confuses you even more, I don't know. Let us know. Hashtag all new, all different nation. What the hell? That's not a recommendation or a, I don't know. Figure it out yourself.
I will say if anything, pick up this book if you like gorgeous art.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, this is stuff you want framed on your wall, whether you like Alice in Wonderland or not. Very, very good stuff. We're going to take a quick break. And when we return, Bobenheimer, Part 2. And we are back. Bob, let's talk about some new books that came out in comic book shops this week. That's right, kids. There's still plenty of time to call, email, mail, write a letter, send a friendly message to your neighborhood comic shop. I don't know. Do whatever you do, but get a hold of them.
I don't want to say send a smoke signal.
Yeah, well, don't do that right now. It's a little hot out, but might not be a great idea.
Wildfire signal.
Harry Potter owl, whatever you got to do to get the message out to your local comic book shop.
Expecto Patronum.
Yeah, sure. From Image Comics, we had a new number 1 called Per Evil. Bob, let me... A side note here. I don't usually do this. This
right.
is, but I have read my books this week because I just couldn't wait on some of them. And let me tell you, I cracked this book open last night. Maybe I'm just on a high right now. Maybe I just am really liking books or something. This book was phenomenal. Like, when I tell you phenomenal, I'm talking it was the most well-rounded, interesting book I've read in a while. I really, really loved Per Evil. It was such a good book. So I cannot recommend that enough. I strongly suggest you guys call your shops, get that, hopefully before it sells out, goes into a second print, whatever. Pick up issue 2, whatever. Just make sure you get your hands on this book. Read it somehow because it was really, really good. From DC Comics, we had Batman Beyond Neo Gothic, with the first appearance of Kyle the Catboy. And it's spelled B-O-I, so you got to say it like that.
Very cool.
Yeah. Batman Brave and the Bold, issue number 3. First appearance of Mr. Baseball. I was waiting for it. I mean, look, we got Mr. Bloom right behind us, so maybe...
I can't say much to Mr. Baseball.
Yeah, we did have, Major League Venom last week, so now DC's got to have Mr. Baseball. We had Night Terrors, Action Comics, Night Terrors, Angel Breaker with the first appearance of Nanny Gillo. Night Terrors, Detective Comics with the first Nightmarish Trio, which one of them is fused with a robotic bat suit. We had Night Terrors, Harley Quinn, Night Terrors, Teen Titans with the first Terror Titans, and Superman Last Days of Lex Luthor. From Marvel Comics, we have Incredible Hulk number 2. Man, another side note, that second book was so good. I don't know if you read that first Incredible Hulk. Man, you are missing out. Those are some really good books. This second one blew my mind. I'm just gonna throw out there that there's a church of zombies in this book, and it's really, really cool. So definitely want to check that out. So good. It's got a first appearance of Sister Sadie. We also have Venom, number 23, Black Widow bonds with the symbiote, and the reintroduction of Toxin. If you're able to get your hands on that spoiler variant, thing is taken off the charts. So go find one of those if you can. Hopefully not on the secondary market for $30, but a big book this week. We had Amazing Spider-Man issue number 30, Avengers number 3 with the first appearance of Team Ashen Combine, Ultimate Invasion number 2, and What If Dark Spider-Gwen. Again, a really, really cool story, a really good book. I liked that one a lot. That was a lot of fun.
Very cool idea.
Yeah. From Scout Comics, we had Charm City number 1, Space Outlaws number 1, Talon Seeds of Darkness number 1, and a book that I couldn't possibly say if my life depended on it, Trovoki. I'll just say that. From Boom Studios, we had Berserker Poetry of Madness. If you're into Keanu Reeves, there you go. AWA Upshot had The Ribbon Queen number 1, and rounding us out from Sumerian Comics, we had Children of the Comet number 1. A very, very interesting read. I don't know if I could say it's good, but it was very interesting. Those are some of the new books that came out this week. Again, run to your local comic book shop and tell them to add that Per Evil and Incredible Hulk to your pull list because, my God, you're going to want them. We'll be right back after this brief break. And we are back with episode number 29 of the all-new, all-different number 1 comics podcast. Bob, you have some books to talk about that are coming out next week.
I do, and as always, my disclaimer, these are just some of the books coming out because I just read off of one of the multitude of sites and apps you can use to find all the books that are coming out that week. So please, if you want a detailed list, go elsewhere.
And I do want to throw this out as a challenge to any of our listeners who might have like cool production skills or anything. If you can take what Bob just said and turn it into like a cool song with like auto-tune and stuff as Bob's disclaimer, I'll love you forever. Call to action, make a disclaimer song for Bob, please.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. Please, please get on that.
We're getting one. Don't you worry.
So, beginning the list, from DC, we have Omega Men number 3. Yes, you can pick up your very own first appearance of Lobo.
Oh, man. Thank God for that. I only have 20 copies of that laying around.
I think everybody has 20 copies
yeah, exactly.
of that laying around. That's one of those, it should be more expensive than it actually is.
Sure, yep.
From Marvel, we're getting Star Wars Dark Droids number 1.
And I'm excited about this one. We wanted to put this on our wheel, our randomized wheel, to cover next week, but we do realize that it's just a little tie-in type of thing, or maybe one-shot or whatever, so it's not really something we can cover here, but it is a crossover story arc described as a horror-fueled epic that erupts when a new threat is unleashed throughout the galaxy, disrupting droids, cyborgs, and everything in between. Sounds so cool, a horror Star Wars story.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a crossover event,
yeah.
So the Dark Droids number 1 may only be 2-3 issues, and then you can find the rest of the tie-ins in like Star Wars proper, Star Wars Dr. Aphra, Star Wars Darth Vader.
Yeah, sadly doesn't really fit our format.
Correct. Sticking with Marvel, we have Strange Academy Miles Morales number 1.
And again, speaking of things that don't fit our format, believe me, this would have been the book we are covering next week, hands down, if it was not just a one-shot, but it doesn't fit our format, sorry. It is when a mysterious new villain crashes the mathletics, I don't know what that says.
Yes.
The students of Strange Academy must team up with Miles Morales to stop his plots. I will say, Miles Morales being a fan favorite, Spider-Man character, and Strange Academy being one of the greatest Marvel books to come out in recent memory, yeah, I definitely would want to cover this if it wasn't a one-shot.
Exactly. Sticking with Marvel, we have Fantastic Four number 10.
And this has a new caretaker who awakens on an empty ship of death that launched thousands of years ago with what remained of a desperate alien race who were attempting to escape their dying sun. That sounds really, really cool.
A very interesting solicitation.
Yeah, kind of like an Event Horizon type of thing. I don't know what's going on there.
We're getting a new What If from Marvel. What If Dark Venom #1?
Witness the birth of a brand new Venom.
Yes, though looking at the cover, you can tell who the brand new Venom is.
Yeah, and you got to look at the cover yourself because we're not going to describe it to you.
Exactly. No spoilers from us.
Just know there's some kind of thing on there.
Yes. Sticking with Marvel, we have a new volume of Magneto.
This has the first appearance of Iray, a student of Magneto.
Yes, and the cover is really cool. It has, the half red suit Magneto, but it also has the half purple suit with the giant M Magneto.
Yeah, I love it. One side's got the New Mutants on it. Very, very cool.
We have X-Men #25.
Kitty Pryde takes on a new persona, Shadowcat. That's not very new. We all know who Shadowcat is.
But it's with a K.
Oh, yeah, true.
So it's new. We also have Death of Venomverse #1.
Man, excited about this. This is a 5-issue limited series that sees a powered-up Carnage travel through the multiverse on a quest to hunt and kill alternate reality Venom characters. I swear to God, if Major League Venom dies, I'm going to lose it.
I just wanted to stand there, wind up with the bat, and just bash Carnage in the stomach.
Likewise.
Or bash his head off like a baseball. From DC, we have Sandman Universe Special Thessaly #1? Thessaly?
Don't ask me. I can't read. This is a one-shot featuring the witch from Neil Gaiman's Sandman series.
And I did not read Sandman,
Yeah,
so
likewise.
if I butchered that name, I'm sorry, Sandman fans.
They are out there.
Please forgive me.
They'll find you.
We have one of Dan's favorites going back to Marvel, Scarlet Witch #7.
Man, Scarlet Witch is so, so good. Speaking of adding things to your pull list, geez, make sure you do that. This has the first appearance of Hexfinder, a new villain. And those are some of the books that are coming out next week. Again, make sure you reach out to your local comic book shops to get those. Bob, I think it's time we figure out what book we're covering next week. Of course, we have our lovely, lovely wheelofnames.com wheel here with 3 comic books on the block to see which one we're going to cover. We have Magneto #1, Death of Venomverse #1, and Sacrificers #1 from Image Comics. I'm going to go ahead and click enter to spin this thing and see where it lands. Bob, any predictions?
I'm hoping Magneto.
Man, well, you didn't get your wish, but we are covering Death of Venomverse #1.
Nice.
That's going to be very exciting.
Nice.
Man, can't wait for that one. That will be a very, very cool book to cover.
Yes, and it's written by one of our favorite writers.
Yes, Colin Bunn. Going to be freaking amazing. Always does an amazing job. Colin Bunn, come on the podcast and talk to us.
Please.
Bob, that's going to wrap up our show this evening. But thank you guys so much for tuning in and checking us out. As always, make sure you go on social media. We are at Instagram at ANAD_1 Comics Podcast. You can check us out on Twitter or X or whatever the hell that's called now at ANADNO Comic Pod. We're also on TikTok under ANAD1 Comics Pod and on YouTube under the Comic Book Channel. This and every single week, all you have to do is go onto social media of your choice and use the hashtag AllNewAllDifferentNation to be entered in a giveaway to win a copy of the very book that we covered. That's right. All you got to do is go on Instagram, TikTok, wherever, and type in hashtag AllNewAllDifferentNation, and you can win your very own copy, postage paid, of Alice Never After #1 by the great Dan Panosian and Giorgio Okay, good. I completely forgot it now, and all I'm thinking of is spaghetti again. So That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next. That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next. That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next. That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next. That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next. That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next. That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.